Yo, what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be the Cosmic Convergence very super late. Well, we're just going to essentially do the weekend astrology horoscope plus Monday and Tuesday Cosmic Convergence style because we have the equinoxes upon us. That's right, the autumnal equinox in the northern hemisphere and the vernal equinox in the southern hemisphere. I'm trusting you guys are having a wonderful day. I actually had the day off. I've been pretty busy this whole week and stuff, which is why this is coming out a little bit later. But I wanted to make sure I went a little bit deeper with the astrology, just kind of going over those things over the next 3 to 4 days and draw cards. But I wanted to actually take care of each sign too. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to cover each sign and we're going to, hop into it. So let's just start off with like a little bit of channeling, right? Because this energy has been interesting, to say the least, right? We have all of these retrograde planets. We have Jupiter that's slowing down, right? And this Virgo season has been kind of like admittedly pretty mundane, kind of just, going through the motions. And maybe, and maybe it's just me, but I do feel like we've been trying to get the ball rolling and it's just not rolling. It's like we're trying to get the car started, but when we're turning the key in the ignition, right, it's just doing the, it's not fully clicking in. It's like, it's not fully clicking in right now. And I think that's causing a lot of frustration. It's causing some apprehension with people because they can feel that things are shifting. I think people can feel that the energy is shifting, but it just seems like it's happening at a snail's pace, right? So that has a lot to do with all these retrograde planets. That has a lot to do with generally in Virgo season, you're talking about the day-to-day reality and kind of just, not that Virgos aren't exciting people. There's probably more Virgos than anything else in the world. Oh, looks like my cat found something to play with. See, there you go. You got to entertain yourself. And I think that's kind of where we are right now, is that we are having to find creative ways to entertain ourselves because it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot going on, even though there is quite a bit going on. But as far as our personal day-to-day lives, it just does seem like we're kind of just going through the motions. And we're waiting for something exciting to happen in our lives. And I think the desire for that something exciting to happen, for us to feel more passionate about things, I think it's coming. Venus and Scorpio is definitely going to be adding a lot of spice to this. But that's just another detriment planet that we're going to be getting. In addition to Mars not being in the best spot, in addition to Uranus not being in the best spot, we're just getting other planets that aren't really feeling necessarily at their peak, at their best. Jupiter as well. So it's just going to add to the, I don't necessarily want to be here. I'm a little uncomfortable in this place. I'm not familiar with this space. And I think that's the thing. People are looking for familiarity while at the same time wanting excitement and something new. And while the universe is giving us this energy that's maybe we're not so familiar with, or that that's not necessarily the best aspected, right? With, I guess modern astrology will be like, there are no planets no planets can be in detriment or in fall planets, It's no, that's not the case, right? It's definitely more advantageous to have Mars in Capricorn than Mars in Cancer. Not that people that have Mars in Cancer can't amount to anything or do anything, but it is more advantageous for Mars to be in Capricorn. Why? Think about it. Mars is the warrior, right? Mars is the warrior, and Mars does the best when they're on the battlefield, when they're out in life, when they're being seen, right? And Capricorn is that mountain that we climb. It's our legacy. And if you think about a warrior, their goal would most likely to want to become commander like Capricorn, right? But when it's at home, Mars can't really do, when it's in Cancer, I mean, not a home, but when it's in Cancer, which is the home, if you think about it, it is the home, but it's having his wounds licked. It's this energy of being coddled and cradled, but then that warrior like energy can't really express itself because it's a little more sensitive here, right? It's the warrior going back home, right? And it can be weird. It almost can be a little disorienting because then the warrior is so used to the battlefield that being at home when things are calmer and still can cause a little bit of apprehension and PTSD. Let's just be real, right? So it's a weird energy. Or let's take another planet for example, right? Let's take Mercury, right? Mercury right now is in Virgo. Now, it was Mercury. Mercury is the fastest moving planet. It's all about finding out the details. Mercury can't spend too much time in a particular area. It has to get things moving. It has to keep the ball rolling. It has to keep the feed moving, right? So in Virgo, it can, it's just mutable Earth. This is about, this is about those day-to-day realities. It is about, our habits. It is about even the rituals, if you will. You like to think that rituals are Pisces, but Pisces is random. Virgo is more structured. So it's about the rituals, our daily habits, the way that we keep order, the way that we kind of structure things, the way that we organize things, and Mercury has to be able to do that, right? When it's in Pisces, this is like trying to speak underwater. First of all, everything's going to be muffled. You're not going to be able to really hear what's going on. Have you ever tried you ever try talking underwater? First of all, you're going to get water in your throat and stuff like that. So you don't want that. You might drown if you stay down there long enough. But it's also, if Pisces wants to move somewhat fast and wants to have all these details, and Pisces is literally encompasses all the energy at once, it's hard to kind of define and pick out and find some type of structure, if you will, or organization, because Pisces is the antithesis of that. Not that Pisces people can't be organized and structured, but generally Pisces is a very random, everything, unseen, out there kind of energy, right? So Pisces doesn't do well. Mercury doesn't do well in Pisces. So when you take into consideration that we have a lot of planets that are in zones that they have, nerfs, as we would call it in the video game, in video games. Whenever something is buffed, it means that it's given, it's given an advantage. Its attributes, its positive attributes are enhanced, and it's given something more to make the playing field more even. So let's just take a fighting game, for example, right? Say you have a fighting game that comes out, and there's 20 characters in the fighting game, right? Now, generally, there's going to be a few characters that are just better than the other characters, right? They're just going to be better when the game first comes out. Over time, that game will be updated, and certain characters will get buffs, so increases in their power levels, and certain characters will get nerfs or debuffs, which means that should help to bring the playing field a little bit more level. You may have a character that when the game first starts off, it's just killing and murking all the other characters like it's nothing. They're predominantly the character that's used in online play. And then you have other characters which you may you may enjoy these characters. They may be fun to play. But they're not as strong. And if you're wanting to be the best at this game, this theoretical game that I'm talking about, then you ought to go with the better character, right? But of course, then you have those people out there that can take a low tier character and make them god tier, if you will, because they understand the mechanics of the game and they understand how to make it work. And astrology is kind of the same way. So yeah, you may have a planet that may not be in the best place, but if you can understand that planet and understand the mechanics of it, you can kind of leverage that and find a unique superpower that can leverage it against someone that may have that planet in a better place. And oftentimes, people that have planets in not so great areas will kind of appreciate that planet more than someone that has the planet in a better spot. For example, right, I have Jupiter in Virgo, right? Jupiter does not like to be in Virgo, right? It'd probably be better if I had Jupiter in Cancer or Sagittarius, right? But I may appreciate my Jupiter in Virgo more than someone who has Jupiter in those other placements, because it's almost like you take for granted the better placement, right? So right now we are in a spot where we are being shown planets that are not in their best place, so they are nerfed, if you will. But that also shows us just the potential of what can be and how we can actually utilize that energy to our advantage if we can understand the mechanics of that energy and that planet being in that space. I hope that makes sense. But I feel like explaining it this way, and just, if anything else, just understanding that we have a lot of planets that are not in great zones, that's why you probably feel less energy, less motivated. That's why you feel nerfed. Like, you know there's potential there. You know that something's trying to click on, right? You're trying to push the needle, if you will, get the snowball rolling, but it's not quite getting there. So we have to understand the mechanics, if you will, of these planets and where they are and why people are feeling the way that they're feeling. And now we're coming, of course, to this massive equinox period, right? So let's go ahead and hop into the chart itself. But before that, of course, I do want to show you this image right here, the start of Act 3, which Act 3, of course, is Libra season. Now, I have this individual here, and he's been through a bit. He discovered his dragon. He started to find out about himself. He met up with other people, right? He's kind of gone through some battles. And now we can kind of see him in this spot where that's honestly a very gorgeous, beautiful scene behind him, right? It's Autumnal Equinox. The dragon's kind of growing up a bit too. He's gone through it a bit. You can see the look in his eyes is that of, I've seen some shit. that like, he's seen some stuff, man. He's been through it. And I think we all can relate to this individual in one way or another. So this is going to be that moment in many ways in all of our lives that, you know, we kind of decide, it's like, despite what I've been through, how am I going to react and respond now? What am I going to do differently? Or will I do anything differently? Right now we are in between the eclipses. And the energy in between eclipses is always very sensitive. It's very much so fated. A lot of things that happen in between eclipses are things that are supposed to happen. They are meant to happen. The energy is a lot more sensitive. The veil between the realms is a lot thinner when you are in between eclipses. So, you know, this is kind of the energy right now and where we are at. A little bit worn, a little bit tattered, kind of seen some stuff. And maybe we're a little bit over it. And it's okay to be over it too. But we don't want to be so over it where we completely throw in the towel. But I think there is going to be an expression of frustration that we see this Libra season, where people are going to be like, look, I worked hard. I've done all these things. I did what I thought was supposed to be the right thing. And there are certain things that I believe that aren't true. There are certain things that I didn't believe that are true. I'm going to still keep moving forward, but, well, this is shit. Like, sometimes we just kind of get to that moment where we throw our hands up and we're like, are you fucking kidding me? And excuse the language, but it's just kind of where we are in many ways. So I think you do have a choice in all this on whether or not to allow these things to take over your being and for you to just throw into town, be like, whatever. Or you can maintain your spiritual integrity and continue to move forward and continue to do the light work, continue to do the shadow work, continue to do the work. Despite the anxieties, the frustrations, the apprehensions, the worries, the fears, it is about having the courage and the bravery to acknowledge the way that you feel, to embrace the way that you feel, while simultaneously moving in a way that is in accordance with your spiritual highest good. And that's not an easy road to walk, but it is a necessary road to walk, and is a necessary road that we need as many people to walk that road as possible. And it's going to take all of us. It's going to take some companionship. It's going to take some friendship. It's going to take some compassion. It's going to take some empathy, while at the same time it's going to take some accountability and holding each other up, while at the same time, hey, you're kind of fucking up right there. I love you, but you're kind of fucking up there. And it's that kind of energy. And whether we are giving that or we are receiving that, we have to know how to properly react and respond to whatever, that external stimuli is. Whether someone's telling you that, hey, you need to get your act together, or you're telling someone that they need to get their act together, how we respond to those situations is going to be very paramount this Libra season, and will carry on into next year when we get to the next year's eclipses. So, now, as of right now, we do have that moon here at 19 degrees of Taurus, right? And it's getting ready to join up with the Sun and Pluto and Uranus and this grand Earth trine, which I think is an awesome moment of healing and can bring some, definitely can bring some great energy forward as well. So, now as far as those planets that are not in the best spots, let's look at that, right? Well, we have Uranus in Taurus. That's the sky god being grounded on Earth, so yeah, Uranus isn't necessarily in the best place. We have Jupiter in Gemini. Yeah, that's not really easy. I'd much rather be over there in Sag. Yeah, Mars in Cancer. Yeah, that's not easy. And that's one of the personal planets, so we'll probably feel this energy more. Jupiter a little bit less, and Uranus a little bit less. But we feel the Mars in Cancer a lot more, and it's in opposition to Ceres, so that's definitely very uncomfortable, right? In Ceres, I would even say that Ceres likes to be in Capricorn. Ceres would probably rather be where they rather probably switch positions. Because Ceres is kind of like this motherly energy, and this nurturing energy. And Mars just wants to climb the mountain and find the success and, be recognized, right? So they'd probably rather switch positions. So we have all that going. And even though it's not there yet, but Venus will be coming into Scorpio soon. And Venus much rather be in Taurus. Right? Because when Venus is in Scorpio, that's deep. It takes the emotions to a deeper level. It talks about deeper levels of intimacy, which may be hard for people to open up to. Not only that, but Venus does deal in many ways with resources and money and even vanity. And in Scorpio, it's a little bit harder to do that. Whereas in Taurus, it's a little bit easier for Venus to do that. Plus, also, I think Venus wants to be the pearl. Can't really be the pearl in Scorpio because it's at the bottom of the ocean. And she can't be seen and adored. Whereas in Pisces, it's a bit more of a different story. Right? So that's about to happen too. So, as we continue throughout the day, we are going to see this moon that is going to make a nice little trine over to Mercury. Now, this is a very nice aspect, especially considering the fact that the moon is exalted in Taurus and Mercury does rule Virgo, at least traditionally. So this is going to come down to, like, whatever we're telling ourselves about our day-to-day reality, about our habits, about, how we structure our lives and stuff. We better, find a way to emotionally connect and get grounded and actually, emotionally connect to what we do see as valuable so we can integrate that into our day-to-day reality and communicate that. And if we're not communicating it, then we're kind of just, going by the wind. But then this is about, like, you do have to have something to stand on, you know? You have to have something to stand on, because if you have nothing to stand on, then it's easier to take advantage of you. It's easier to manipulate you, per se. But you have to have something to stand on, right? And I think that's what this trine comes down to, right? Now, we'll see, of course, as the day continues on Saturday. We'll see Venus here at 28 degrees make a quincunx over to this Neptune. So this is like right before we see this Venus come into Scorpio. And this is going to be an interesting one. I mean, I have to just do the math real fast to see if this is the last time, or I'll just go through this and see if this is the last time that we'll see a Venus at the end of its home sign make a quincunx to Neptune and Pisces in its home sign in all of our lifetime. So if I just go around to the next time that Venus is even in Libra, so the next time that Venus does get there, it's going to be next year. So it will happen again, because it will retrograde right back into, it'll be 29 degrees. So it will actually happen again, and this time Saturn will be involved too. So that's kind of interesting. So we're not going to, this is like one of the last times that we'll ever see Venus in its home sign, quincunx Neptune in its home sign. Now what the heck does that even mean? Well, I remember Venus in Libra is looking for the balance, the harmony, the beauty, the fairness, if you will, but also there is a level of, wanting to be appreciated, by other people. Venus in Taurus is a little bit, it's more so about you appreciating yourself and what your accomplishments and your values and what you brought to the table. But Venus in Libra, it's like we want to receive that from other people via our relationships. Well, the quincunx over to Neptune here, it's providing that awkward stare, that 150-degree angle, where it's like, it may come from weird places. It may come from awkward angles. It may not come from the places that you think it will come from with the Neptune and Pisces. Or you may think that you want certain adoration or appreciation from people, or but that person may not give it to you. And that's probably one of the harder lessons with this. It's like we may want something or dream about something or believe in something, right? With the Neptune and Pisces, but it's retrograde, right? At the end. So it's all an illusion that you need that or really want that. Especially as Venus gets closer to Scorpio, it's going to get to this point where like people's like desires and stuff like that, especially like in relationships and what they want to receive, it's going to get a little bit spicier when Venus goes into Scorpio, right? So we'll switch this back to hours. Now, of course, Sunday is the big day where we start to see this major shift happen. So we have, of course, the moon here with Uranus at 27 degrees, beginning to make that trine over to the sun. And we also, of course, have Pluto here. And this is the last time that we will ever see in our lifetime the sun at the end of Virgo, or just in Virgo. This is the last time that we'll see the sun in Virgo trine Pluto in Capricorn. We won't ever see this again, because Pluto's going to come forward back into Scorpio later this year. Or not Scorpio, into Aquarius later this year. So we're not going to see this aspect happen again. So this is one of those huge moments. It's sort of like an aha epiphany moment, right? And it's very earth, right? So it's very like, it's much more reality. It's much more here. It's much more grounded, right? And it's about, okay, wow, so we can have the reality that we want, but the reality is shifting in many ways, right? Pluto is about transformation, of course, here in Capricorn. There is a level of the whole rising from the ashes and stuff like that. It's kind of letting us know that, like, no matter what humanity goes through, or no matter what humanity has gone through, that it has risen from those ashes. So it's like societies rise and they fall. Now, Uranus is involved with this too, and that has to do with society as a whole and large, and also the values within these societies per se, right? So societies rise and fall, regimes rise and fall, and then what's built on top of it? New regimes, new cities, new societies, new groups of people. And this is always going to happen. And there's a fear aspect to this, especially with Black Moon Lilith here. There's a fear aspect to this that's like, oh no, everything that I know is coming to an end. Everything that I thought I knew, everything, the way that the world's structured, the way that things are, it's coming to an end. Yes. But this is a grand Earth trine. So it's letting us know that there is something very beautiful on the other side of this, that we have to be willing to be open to and accept and embrace. We have to be willing to look at those things, right? So, and like I said, this is the last time that we're going to see this in our life, because from now on, when the sun is in Virgo, it is just going to quincunx Pluto in Aquarius, which is going to be that awkward, acclimation to the newness, a bit of the randomness that can be the Aquarius energy, and kind of bringing in that higher cosmic knowledge that is Aquarius, and how to like integrate that into our day-to-day reality, right? So there's another element, of course, here too, where we're seeing Venus that is going to start to make a square over to Pluto. And we're never going to see this energy too, where Venus in its home sign of Libra is going to be squaring Pluto and Capricorn. We're never going to see this again in our life. And this is bringing up to the surface all of the ways that we feel we need to be, seen in the world. Capricorn is like, we want to be seen in the world via status, through our relationships, our vanity. Let's just be real, right? So there's an element here where it's like we have put so much focus and emphasis on our status, on who we want other people to see us as. We put so much emphasis on that. But this is a square. It's challenging, right? So it's like you may want to be seen as someone who has it all together, has all the money, has the best relationship, that has whatever, right? You may be concerned about super concerned about status, or maybe you only wear a certain type of shoe, or maybe you don't wear the same shirt twice, because you can't be seen with the same shirt twice, or maybe like you will only drive a certain car, or maybe so it's all about status. It's all about what people see. It's all about that sort of stuff. It's the filters in life, right? All the filters that we have put so much emphasis on that over the last 15 to 16 years with Pluto and Capricorn, with Venus squaring that energy, right? Or even relationships. Feeling like we have to be with a certain person, or feeling like we have to, my partner has to have this, and this, and if they don't have that, I won't consider them at all, Meanwhile, people have probably skipped out on what could have been some of the best relationships of their life because they looked at someone and it's like, nope, sorry, you only hit 3 out of my 10 boxes. And most of those boxes are very superficial and very surface. Not saying that people can't have preferences, right? I think we all have preferences. but it's about whether it's like superficial or not, whether it's more about the filters, more about the look, more about the status. You know, you have people, I would say this probably is especially more prevalent in like Hollywood and all that sort of stuff, that people are literally just with each other just for the status of it and just for the appearance of it. I will call out one that, and maybe it's a conspiracy because you've seen different things about it, but the whole Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing, it looks so. It's the relationship that everyone's talking about, and of course, this is happening when Pluto's at the end of Capricorn, and it's starting to kind of come to a bit of a head right now and everything, right? It does seem manufactured, right? It does seem propped up. That's the other thing about Venus and Libra squaring Pluto and Capricorn for the last time of our lives, and it's at the end here. There's manufactured like success, right? People who are propped up, relationships that are propped up. Is there an authenticity to these things though? It's the question. And I'm just calling it how I see it. I'm going off the astrology that I see here. But what I can tell you is that a lot of the things that have been propped up and been manufactured for us to believe that we want, that make us believe that we need to obtain those things in order to feel good about ourselves, in order to feel like we made it, in order to feel fulfilled, in order to feel like we actually fulfilled our purpose. All of that is hyperbolic. All of it is just, a lot of it's a farce. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of it is a farce. It's not real. It's not authentic. Or we think that, oh, when I have 1 million subscribers, or oh, when I have $1 million, I'm gonna feel better. It's gonna solve all my problems. People are going to love me. And that's not the case. It's not the case at all. So you have to just take those things into consideration, right? Now, of course, that moon is going to hit that 29th degree and is going to meet up with this grand Earth trine. It's going to be happening pretty early in the morning here on the East Coast, right? We also can see that Venus has also hit 29. So talk about edgy. 29, 29, 29, 29, 28, 27. There's a lot of edgy energy here. A lot of edgy energy here. And I've been noticing, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's been like a lot of major aspects happening on the weekend. I've been noticing that. There's like a lot of major aspects. I've noticed that like over like the last year, a lot of the biggest aspects have been happening on Saturday and Sunday, which is very interesting because that's when people generally aren't paying as much attention, right? But maybe it's also because it gives people an opportunity to kind of take in that energy and download it, and whether they are conscious of it or they're unconscious of it, their subconscious will take in that information, because your subconscious is always taking in information, right? So whether we consciously are aware of the big transits happening on the weekend or we're unconsciously aware of it, it's going to affect us subconsciously, and that will come up via our actions, our habits, and whatever, so forth. Well, if we can become aware of it, we can kind of guide it in the right direction, if you will. But there's always going to be some wrench thrown into the mix, and that's the God force. We can't control our entire reality. We can't do it, right? We try, but we can't. You know, we do have choice. We have been given choice and free will, but there's still an element of, you are supposed to do this thing. You were supposed to meet that person. You're supposed to leave that job. You're supposed to go over here, whatever have you. You're supposed to have this experience. That is the wrench, if you will. It doesn't have to be a wrench per se, but that's just like, that's the magic of fate and God, is that some things are simply meant to happen, right? And that's what keeps us on our toes. That's why that's why there's no one person who's more necessarily spiritually involved than another person, or necessarily knows more, because we're all taking in the information subconsciously. So we all have it. We all have the answers per se. We all have the information, right? There are just those that choose to, seek out that information more, or expand upon that, or give their life to that, and then others that don't necessarily do anything with it. But that doesn't mean that they aren't where they're supposed to be. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't spiritual per se, right? But there's still a level of spiritual integrity that we have to have, right? So, Grand Earth Trine, Moon in Taurus, Sun in Virgo, Pluto in Capricorn, right? We've already read the Sabian symbol for Pluto and Capricorn, but I kind of want to read the Sabian symbol for Virgo, 29 degrees too. So I'm actually going to pull that up right now. Let's see what we got. So let me see. Properties. Let's see. Can I do display capture? I'd rather do... no. I feel like that's probably the best one to do, but it's not. There we go. That's better. Okay. Virgo, 29. Alright, cool. I'm gonna make myself a little bit smaller so we can read this. Alright, cool. Having an urgent task to complete, a person doesn't look to any distractions. This symbol implies the need for single-mindedness in application. Distractions can lead one astray and waste valuable time, with the end result of not completing what one sets out to do. Indeed, you can find yourself not even starting what you need to be starting. Although, with this symbol around, you can be the type of person who won't let anything get in the way of completing objectives. The trick is to not get lost in the details. Interesting enough, because Virgo's about the details. Keeping a list of goals can help focus on what needs to be done. Pushing through with the work, avoiding temptations, regardless of what's going on around you, will bring the rewards of completion. Stay true to yourself and on the path. One pointed application. The need for focus, seeing through to the finish, maintaining direction, doing what needs to be done, housework. Attention to outside influences, the slightest excuses, avoidance, rigidity of thought, missed creative opportunities, indulgences, workaholics, addictions. It's interesting too, because it talks about achieving your goals and everything like that. And I believe that workaholics do have a goal, but they get so wrapped up in it that they forget to live their life still. And that's all that they care about. So there's this balance that needs to be had, which is probably why after this symbol, Libra comes. Because, hey, we got to bring that back into balance, right? So there is an element, I was like, you know what? There are a lot of the external distractions right now. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in the world. There's a lot of regime changes. There's a lot of he said, she said. There's a lot of look over here and I look over here and I look over here and I look over here. It's like we do have to kind of hone in and have that list of goals, like I said, so we can feel like we have something that we're moving towards, right? It can seem like a lot right now because it's hard to get the engine starting, but we keep that list of goals and we have something to focus on, something that gives us something to look forward to, something that gives us purpose. That's how we're going to get through this time, right? That's how we're going to get through this a lot better. Might as well read Taurus 29. That's where the moon is, so we might as well read it. Right? Okay. A peacock parading its splendor on the terrace of an old castle. This symbol shows the beauty and splendor of private estates, wealth, and riches. Behavior and presentation of form is of vital importance. Situations are likely to be well established, but could also be slowly breaking apart. There is a need to maintain your grace and pride while also maintaining the center of attention. Peacocks, because of the many eyes on their feathers, are said to be the watchers. They watch for intrusion and deception. Be wary of what's going on, but enjoy the beauty and elegance that surrounds you. Ego-centered attractions, splendor, etiquette, gardens, and buildings. Enjoy the environment, beauty and nature, wealth, empires that require protection and narcissism. Risking integrity to display success, strutting one's stuff, inviting envy from others, noisy displays, overlording others, neglected buildings, envy from others. Neglected buildings. So it's like buildings that have been condemned. It's interesting. We got to be able to see the beauty in everything, right? And I think we don't want to be overly vain, right? We don't want to just overly strut it around, but we still want to appreciate ourselves, and we still want to see the beauty in ourselves. And I think that's what it comes down to. It's like some people, maybe it's hard for them to see the beauty in themselves, and they're very self-deprecating. Neglected buildings. This body is a building. It's a temple. How many people are neglecting this in some way, shape, or form, right? Probably all of us to some degree in some area, but don't neglect this. Don't neglect your temple. No, don't neglect this area right here, right? Beauty in nature, yeah, go outside. Does that speak to wealth? That's spiritual wealth. It's not just financial, spiritual wealth, emotional wealth, mental wealth, physical well-being. Empires that require protection, and there's narcissism is here, yes. But we also don't want to go fully in the other direction where we're completely self-deprecating as well. And the moon's not even going to be at this degree for very long, too. So that's something that we need to consider, right? So that was fun. Let's go back to the Astro Gold. So, and boom. All right. Well, we are going to see that sun ingress into Libra around 8:51 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is going to be, of course, when the moon shifts into Gemini, so the energy is going to get a little bit lighter. But, of course, that sun is in close proximity to that south node. And, so this is where that shift happens. It is officially fall. It's officially spooky season. Right? I am a season absolutist. A lot of people are like, it's spooky season. People were saying it was spooky season as soon as the school year began. I'm like, no, that begins at the start of Libra season, right? That's the thing about being an astrologer. It's like, I'm like an absolutist now when it comes to the seasons. So, no, this is the official start of fall, right? So, now, as we continue throughout the day, of course, and we're feeling that shift, we're feeling that fall energy start to come in a lot more. We can also start to feel that this Venus-Pluto square is building up more. Mercury has now surpassed Black Moon Lilith and is getting towards those final degrees of Virgo. But of course, we are going to see this Venus make its shift into Scorpio Sunday evening. And that's when things are going to get a little bit spicier, right? And I think we need this, even though it is a detriment planet. So that just adds to the detriment planets now. So we have 1, 2, 3 planets in detriment. Well, actually, Mars is technically in fall. So we have 2 detriment planets in Jupiter and Venus. Then we have Uranus and Mars in fall, right? Which is kind of interesting. I feel like, we have the benefics, Jupiter and Venus and detriment. And then we have Mars that's in fall, which is one of the malefics. And I think I wouldn't say Uranus is really malefic. I think Uranus it kind of will vibe with whatever energy is there or not at all, but not necessarily the opposite. So it's like, if the aspect is good, Uranus will just vibe with the malefic, but if the vibe isn't good, it won't necessarily become a benefic. It'll just be. That's the weird thing about Uranus. It'll just be something else entirely, So we'll see this shift here Sunday evening. So then coming into Monday, of course, Monday morning, when you're getting ready to go to work and everything like that, we'll see this moon getting closer to this Jupiter, right? Now Venus is like pretty much fully moving into Scorpio. We want to feel that injection of the Venus and Scorpio energy. But like I said, these planets aren't necessarily feeling that hot, right? You have Mercury's feeling the best at plus 13, and then you have the moon at plus 3. But look at everything else: -4, -5, -5, -5, -9, which makes sense because the sun exalts in Aries, but it's actually in fall, literally in fall, in Libra. So that's the thing about this. It's like we kind of get like this nice energy, the grand earth trine going into it, but then as soon as fall clicks on, the energy feels like it slows down again. And it's like these planets are being nerfed. They're not in their strongest energy. You know, their attack power, which let's just say the sun's attack power was 100. Now in Libra, it's gone down to like, it's like cut in half. It's like 50. And it's not as strong here in Libra. Which makes sense because this is going to be the time where we start to have less daylight and more nighttime because it's shifting. Or if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's the reverse. But that's where we are. So you can even see energetically. And it's not like Mercury is going to be here for long. It's not going to always be at plus 13 because Mercury is moving very fast now, right? Mercury's moving almost 2 degrees a day, right? Moving almost 2 degrees a day. So that's the thing about this. We also have Jupiter, which of course is slowing down, which means that it's getting ready for its retrograde. And Jupiter retrogrades are some of the tougher retrogrades to deal with. The thing about Jupiter wants to expand and enlarge, but when when the energy is retrograde, a lot of the energy is turned more inward and it contracts. So Jupiter not only it doesn't want to contract, it wants to expand, and it's in the tight quarters of the Gemini energy, right? So it's like it's that weird thing where it's like now we're gonna feel that we're starting to feel that slowdown, that contraction, and those ideas that may be coming through with the Gemini, that mercurial energy, they're starting to slow down. They're starting to slow down. This is why it's a good time to kind of gather our thoughts right now to sustain us through this Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, because you know, a lot of the creative ideas or whatever things like that, a lot of the visions, a lot of the ideas that we want to maybe implement, they're going to start to slow down. They're not going to slow down all the way, but they're going to start to slow down, and they're not going to be coming through as fruitful. So like that's why it's like honestly probably better to hone down on anything that is working, that you are already working on, but new projects and new things probably aren't going to have the greatest success. And now we also have to consider now that because Jupiter is in Mercury's home sign, that when Mercury retrogrades next, which will be in Sag, right? That while there will be mutual reception between the two, now they are retrograding in each other's homes, which is going to be very, very loopy, right? It's going to be very, very loopy, right? So we're coming into an interesting time. Where the energy is not going to be, hold on, let me just go back to the regular, there we go. Energy is not going to be as, you know, I guess you could say feeling as fruitful, but that doesn't mean that you can't, you know, make it through these times and find a way and stuff. Like I said, just because the planets are nerfed, if you will, doesn't mean that they can't work or be effective. It's all about how we use the planet and how we understand, I guess, the more technical aspects of these positions. So let's just say, for example, right? And I'll just use this as an example, just because, you know. I'll just use this as an example because, you know, why the heck not? I don't see my boy in there. I gotta find a picture with my boy. Guess I'm gonna have to just go with no, he's not in that one either. Dang, I'm trying to find my favorite character that I use. There we go. Here, so since I'm gonna just keep using the fighting analogy, yeah, okay, cool. So that's this, yeah, Smash Brothers, right? You have all these different characters, whatever like that. Certain characters may be easier to use than others. For example, my favorite character is Kirby, and Kirby's actually pretty easy to use. Now, granted, a good Kirby character or someone who's really good at Kirby, you know, is obviously going to outshine someone who's not so good at Kirby, but his learning curve is not as steep as some other characters. He's not as, like Ganondorf has a little bit of a steeper learning curve, right? Kirby, not as much. But, you know, that's the thing about it. So, like, a not so, like, a medium tier Kirby person probably could beat someone who is actually pretty decent at Ganondorf, right? But a really good Ganondorf, right, would destroy a mediocre Kirby. Would absolutely destroy it. So that's the way that we kind of have to look at it. It's like, say you take a person that has, let's just use Jupiter, right? Say you have someone that has Jupiter in Gemini and someone who has Jupiter in Sag, right? The person with Jupiter in Sag, Jupiter comes a little bit more easier to them, and they may honestly take it for granted, right? But the person with Jupiter in Gemini may have to work at, you know, how to use their Jupiter more properly, right? Someone who is more adept at knowing how to use that planet, the Jupiter in Gemini will find more success with Jupiter, despite the fact that Jupiter is at a detriment planet, because they understand a little bit more of the mechanics of it, whereas the Jupiter in Sag may just take it for granted. Right? This is something I've noticed too. Just because we have a planet in its home sign doesn't necessarily mean that we're the best at that planet. Right? That doesn't necessarily mean that. That's something I've definitely have noticed. So, you know, just because we have all these planets in their detriment or fall position, yes, there is an effect. Yes, it's not as strong. Yes, we are getting to this point. Go back to Astro Gold. We are going to be at this point, yes, where the sun is not as strong. Jupiter is not as strong. Uranus is not as strong. Venus is not as strong. Mars is not as strong. That's 5 planets, including 2 personal planets. They are not as strong, right? That doesn't mean that we can't find success with this. It just means that it's going to be a bit more of a challenge, right? It's going to be a lot more of a challenge. So, I want to get to the cards because I've been recording. We've been live for a bit. I want to make sure that I draw for each of the signs because I've spent a lot of time on the astrological portion of this, but I do want to get to the cards. I'm going to just draw cards for each of the signs too. So let me make myself a little bit bigger. There you go. So I'm going to do that. Or how should I do this? Do y'all want me to... Let's see. Yeah, I'll just draw the cards for each of the signs. So I think that'll be good. So, all right. So this card, this reading essentially for the each sign, like the first card, I guess, will be like the predominant energy that you're kind of bringing into this Libra season. I would say the second card is going to be more so the overall theme or the challenges or the lessons, and then the other card will be sort of like kind of like your solutions, you know, kind of, you know. Just, I guess you could say it could be the solutions. It could be just the overall, like, kind of like outcome or energy, if you will. So, oof. Come on. There we go. I'm gonna do the Oracle card as well, so. And what I'm more than likely I'm going to do is that when it comes to the Oracle deck, that's going to be different for each sign, But when it comes to the other deck, that's the one I'm going to reshuffle between each one. So first up is Aries. All right, Aries, what do we got for you? Well, Aries, I had the Knight of Cups, and that honestly makes a lot of sense. Your ruling planet is in Cancer right now. So, you're wanting to go for the Holy Grail right now in your life. You're wanting to kind of push things forward, but you also want to make sure that you are emotionally sound and not allowing your emotions to get the better of you. But that's kind of the energy that you're bringing in, is that there's a bit of frustration because you want to pursue things, you want to move the needle, but it's just maybe you have bad intel on where the Holy Grail is. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're going for the Holy Grail, but maybe you have bad intel, and you've kind of gone to these different locations and these different places where you thought the Holy Grail was going to be, whether that Holy Grail is like a job, a relationship, whatever, and it wasn't there, and you're starting to get frustrated about it, right? So, what else do we have for you, Aries? What else is going on for you? Well, we have the High Priestess. So I think the challenge for you, Aries, is learning how to balance the physical and the spiritual. I think the issue is that you've been either far too into the physical or you've been far too into the spiritual, and you haven't been able to find the synthesis of both. And I think that's the main thing that you are experiencing, Aries, is there's a level of intuition that needs to be had here. But it's like you are either way too into the physical aspects of things and not considering the spiritual, or you have your head way up in the clouds, right? And you're not considering the day-to-day reality and your physical reality, right? Now, as far as like the, I guess, overall outcome, if you will, I do have the Chariot card in reverse. So this is the card of Cancer, right? And this talks about, I think the main thing, Aries, is that you kind of do need to, in many ways, kind of retreat a little bit. This is kind of like a card of retreat, kind of going back to what we know. I think it's about taking it back to basics, Aries. I think you've pushed, and I think a lot of this has to do with Chiron being in your sign too. So your ego is wounded, and there's an element here where you kind of have to retreat a little bit, and you kind of have to, recover. I think, Aries, you are in a recovery period, and that's okay. It's okay to need to recover, to retreat, so that when you go back out into the world, you can be that badass Aries that just takes charge and just takes the lead, like we know that you can be. It's a little bit tough though, because Chiron is in your sign, and the North Node is here in Aries too. So, Aries, it's been a bit weird for you, especially with your ruling planet being in Cancer. The universe is calling you to take it back to basics. Maybe there's some aspects from your childhood that you need to heal, that you need to just confront and stuff, but you're so busy trying to push the envelope and be something that you're not even considering the past and the emotions. It's like you have to get more in touch with your emotions. I think it's like you've been trying to go so much that you've kind of forgotten of why you even got started in the first place, right? So, Oracle card, I have the card of Synergy. I love the fact that Synergy comes up, especially when I have the High Priestess upright. The frequency of synergy supports our allowance and acceptance of not so obvious, never seen before combinations and unions that results in new ways of functioning, working, thinking, relating, loving, and being. It reminds us to embrace the unfamiliar so that new yet exciting co-creations can give birth to a new reality. I like that. It's about synergizing. I would take it a step further. It's like you have to synergize the unfamiliar and the familiar. You can't just be fully one to the other. We have to find the synthesis of both. And when you find the synthesis of both, that's when you're going to have those new experiences that make you feel more fulfilled. All right. All right. And all right. Taurus. See what we got going on for you, Taurus. keep shuffling it. I don't always take the cards that fly out. Sometimes I just shuffle them back in. And for this one, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna shuffle it back in. So, Taurus, let's see what we got going on for you. All right, Taurus, I have the King of Cups upright. The King of Cups. So, emotionally grounded, emotionally knowing yourself, and also not really allowing them to get the better of you. I really like this card. This is someone who's in touch with their emotions. They're compassionate, right? So, Taurus, you're trying to bring more of that energy forward. And it probably has a lot to do with the fact that that moon in Taurus is going to be in trine to Pluto and the sun. You know, and this does talk about, you know, appreciating yourself more, you know. Let's see what else we have for you, Taurus. Well, I do have the Five of Pentacles, which is very interesting that you have a King of Cups and then this Five of Pentacles that follows. So you go from like the riches and the opulence to not feeling so rich and not so opulent. So I think the challenge here is, you know, feeling, maybe you're trying to learn how to feel better about a situation that maybe have you feeling more depraved, or maybe have you feeling, you know, not worthy or not valuable or not accepted, you know. So I think there's an element here, Taurus, where you kind of have to be able to look on the bright side of things. I'm not gonna lie. I think that you can maybe dealing with some self-esteem stuff going on here. I think you want to feel the King of Cups energy, but you probably actually feel the Five of Pentacles energy. You probably are actually feeling like, I mean, things could be better, but it's like, it's just, I think this has a lot to do with the fact that this sun is going into your 6th house of Libra, you know? So, you know, when it comes to your day-to-day reality, when it comes to 6th house matters, it's very Libra for you. So your relationships are pretty key for you, being that it's in the 6th house. And Venus doesn't like to be in the 6th house, but it's Libra. So, you know, I think for you, it's all about who you connect with, who you vibe with, Taurus. And maybe you want to check the people around you too. Maybe it's the people, or maybe it's not so much that you're not really, like you yourself, maybe feeling more confident and you have more self-esteem and all those sort of things. But maybe it's the people around you that maybe dragging your energy down. And that's not to say that these people are energy vampires, although they could be. In fact, Taurus, you probably come across more energy vampires than most people because it's Venus in, you know, 6th house, doesn't have to be there, but it's Libra. And Libra, hate to say it, you guys are the vampires with the zodiac. I have a whole video on like mythical creatures and which zodiac sign they are. So Libras, y'all are vampires, and it does make sense. So yeah, I think just be aware of energy that just kind of sucks away from you, Taurus. Just be aware of that this Libra season. Now, your final card here I have is the King of Wands in reverse. The King of Wands in reverse. So we have 2 kings here, and then it's almost like, do you have these 2 aspects of yourself that are, I don't know why, but it's I'm getting this image of my head of like the whole duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, and I feel like that's kind of where you are, Taurus. Is like you're like, no, it's this, no, it's that, no, it's this, no, it's that, no, it's this, and then they both pull it down and it's something completely different. You know, that's kind of, I feel like that's probably where you are, Taurus. You know, so yeah, I think you're wanting to kind of move the needle with that King of Wands, but you have to consider the emotional part of it with the King of Cups here. And then with that Five of Pentacles, it's about like, yeah, just watch your energy, watch how you feel, you know, your vibe attracts your tribe. You know, so if you find yourself around people with low self-esteem, then maybe your self-esteem isn't as high as you think it is. Maybe that's a tough pill to swallow, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a higher self-esteem or feel better or feel more opulent or feel more valuable. But I think this is something that's going to be much more of an internal journey, hence the King of Wands in reverse. So like outwardly, you may express, you know, the compassion or the empathy with the King of Cups, and really, you know, Maybe you feel like certain people are dragging your energy down. Maybe, Taurus, you're kind of tired of like holding people up and being the strong fortress that you are. Maybe it's time for you to, potentially find better company, or, maybe just work on yourself for a little bit. I think that's what it is, Taurus. I think you're kind of tired of being that fortress of solitude for people to lean on, and maybe it's time for you to lean on somebody if you need to. So, your card is the card of the Merkaba. The card of Merkaba, which I really like this because the Merkaba does. I'm not even going to read this because the Merkaba talks about like this vehicle for our spirit, like travel and traverse. And it also does speak to the toroidal field. And it's funny because you're Taurus. Like you in many ways, like I think it's interesting how Taurus and then Taurus, which is like I said, the toroidal field, that energy field that is around us. So I love that this card comes up because it is saying, it's pretty much just confirming what I've already said. Your vibe attracts your tribe, and that energetic field around you, which is like I said, like your vehicle for your spirit in many ways, it's going to feed off of other people's energy, but also you can kind of be that beacon as well. But I do get the feeling, Taurus, that you're kind of tired of being that beacon for so many people. So maybe it's time for you to start to put yourself in environments where you're not the only beacon, that there are many beacons. I think that's what you want, Taurus. You don't want to be the only beacon of light right now. You want there to be other beacons around you, or other people that know their worth, know their value, and y'all can come together and make change happen that way. So very, very interesting for the Tauruses. Absolutely, very interesting for the Tauruses. So, all right, Gemini. The Geminis. All right, let's see what we got going on for y'all. All right, Gemini, what do we got? Well, Gemini, I have the Two of Cups for you. The Two of Cups. I do like this for you. It probably has a lot to do with the fact that the sun is going into your 5th house, right? So that does speak to love and connection and passion potentially, right? So this is nice. Being able to emotionally connect to someone, whether it's a lover or just being on the same page as somebody. This is a very nice thing. This is the energy that you're trying to bring in to this Libra season, right? I have that followed by, I have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So, I wouldn't say that this is necessarily bad fortune or misfortune. I would say this is more, you're trying to get the wheel turning and it's not turning, And I think that's the thing about this. So maybe Gemini, maybe you're seeking too much outside of yourself, or seeking for the relationship that's going to bring the fun and the vibes and stuff like that. But, Jupiter is in your sign. It's getting ready to retrograde. So yeah, I think you can feel the energy kind of start to slow down a little bit. And you don't like the energy slowing down. You like things to keep moving fast. At least your ruling planet is moving fast, and it will be coming into Libra here soon too, right? But that's the other thing for you, Gemini, is that this eclipse that's coming up is in your 5th house, right? So that does deal with passion, love, in many ways, for you, relationships, especially when it comes to like your loving relationships and stuff like that. And there's going to be some major shifts that happen for the Geminis. Some of you Geminis are going to have very new and faded relationships. Some of you Geminis may end a relationship potentially, but I think there's going to be a lot of focus around your relationships, especially romantically. Yeah, sure, maybe friendships, maybe relationships with family members, but I feel like it's a lot of it's romantically. Honestly, Gemini, I think a lot of y'all are about to get hitched, and I feel like a lot of y'all don't want to get hitched because you want to just kind of maintain your lifestyle, and you've been kind of fighting against it, but this is fated, so it's like Gemini, there's probably going to be someone that comes into your life that may kind of slow it down a little bit. Maybe you've been moving too fast. But maybe this person that's coming in wants to kind of help cool the jets a little bit almost. And it's not a bad thing. But I think Gemini is afraid to slow down. I think Gemini is afraid. I honestly think a lot of Geminis are afraid of relationships. I think a lot of Geminis are afraid of those deeper relationships and stuff like that. So, it's definitely going to be very interesting for you, especially with Venus coming into Scorpio in your sixth house. Yeah, this relationship is going to definitely change your day-to-day reality, and it's going to be a little uncomfortable. Not only is Venus a detriment in Scorpio, but it's in the sixth house. So that's the other thing about, like, with you, Gemini, is that, like, whenever Venus comes into Scorpio, it is tough. What the other thing about it, though, is that, like, you can find yourself honestly hopping from partner to partner when Venus is in Scorpio, Gemini. You just kind of find yourself hopping from partner to partner, and there's also like an enticement where it's like almost like you just it. I'm not even gonna lie, it kind of does feel like, and like I'm just going with astrology. I'm just channeling, right? Venus in Scorpio, sixth house to Gemini in the first is like, it's kind of easy for you to kind of whore around. I'm not even gonna lie. It's like you kind of want to have like a new person each night, because it's like, if it's not exciting, because a Scorpio wants like the excitement and like the spice of things, but the sixth house is like day-to-day reality and stuff like that, and then it can be a little bit mundane and stuff. It's like, shoot, it's like, Gemini, you might find yourself getting into a relationship that really is awesome, but then it's like, and there's spice and there's great stuff there, but then it'll get to the point where it's like you get the realization that, like, oh shit, I really like this person. Oh shit, I want to be with them. Oh shit, that means I gotta be with the same person, and I had to have, let's just be real, because Scorpio is sex. That's like, oh great, I gotta be having sex with the same person for the rest of my life. Like, Gemini will literally go through that. It's like, oh my god, I gotta have sex with the same person for the rest of my life. And you may fool yourself into thinking that's boring, or that can't bring any excitement, or that can't bring any depth or anything like that. It can't bring any, like, whatever. So it's like, I think it's very interesting. But honestly, Geminis, I feel like a lot of y'all about to get hitched, and it's going to be interesting to see. I have the moon card in reverse. So yeah, honestly, it's like, I think your tendency would be to run. Your tendency, what you're familiar with, would be to run or to keep this person at an arm's distance. But I would say go for it and just kind of see what happens. Honestly, just kind of allow the universe to unfold, allow things to unfold. I feel like a lot of single Geminis are about to fall in love, or they're about to like get into a relationship, and it's going to be exciting and stuff like that. But it's also going to be like, you're going to want to run away, Gemini. But I wouldn't run away. Now, if you are in a relationship, if you are in a committed relationship, this can be one of those moments where it's like you maybe start to even second guess your relationship. So, I wouldn't go fully into that unless you know for certain. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, Gemini. But unless you know for certain that's not working out, but this could be, you questioning a relationship, or this can also be like, from like a career aspect or a job aspect, is like maybe a job looks more exciting than it actually is, or maybe the job actually does fulfill you, but it's not as exciting as you want it to be, and now you're kind of in that conundrum of like, do I continue this or do I not? Just because, is it exciting enough? I think it can be exciting. I think it's all about the way that you perceive it. So, do you believe in magic in a young Gemini's heart? Oh, that didn't work. Gemini. In a young Gem's heart. In a young twin's heart. Hey, there you go. In a young twin's heart. The frequency of magic supports our intrinsic ability to grow and expand beyond this moment, to move forward possibilities and expressions that are as grand and as profound as we can imagine. All that is required is our belief in their manifestation. Gemini, you're about to fall in love. I know some of y'all don't want that. I know some of y'all just want to just do what you do and be the social butterflies and not do all that stuff. But Actually, I feel like a lot of the Geminis that are going to get hitched are actually rather introverted. Like they may be perceived as extroverted, but they're actually very introverted. And an extrovert is about to come and make you fall in love with them so freaking hard, and you're not gonna know what to do about it. So, yeah, you're not gonna know what to do about it, Gemini. All right, so next we have Cancer. All right, Cancer, what do we have for you? Well, Cancer, I have the Two of Swords upright. So the energy that you're kind of bringing into this month is feeling a little bit lost, a little bit stuck, a bit of a stalemate. There's a troll energy. I feel like the Two of Swords is the energy of the troll. It's like you shall not pass unless you answer this riddle. So what's the riddle, Cancer? The riddle is the Five of Pentacles. The riddle is that you are being very self-deprecating right now. You don't believe in yourself. You feel a lack of worth. You feel like you're on the outside. You feel like you're on the outside. Well, the sun is coming into your 4th house, so, that does deal with your home and does deal with your sanctuary. Does deal with those things, right? How you relate to that energy. Well, Cancer, I think you need to kind of work on your confidence. I think you need to believe in yourself again. And the good thing is that you have Mars in your sign, right? While Mars doesn't like to be in Cancer, Mars can give you some confidence. It's giving you some gusto to actually be able to move through this energy better, even though, like I said, Mars doesn't like to be there, but at least this is giving you some power. This is actually kind of giving you a bit of a buff, believe it or not, it being in your sign. Because you can actually have the courage and the bravery to move forward even if you're not necessarily feeling the most confident. I think this is the thing that, I think Cancers, you've been kind of doubting yourself. I know you're having to deal with Pluto opposing you for one last time, but remember, this is only going to last for a few more months, and then Pluto's going to come back into Aquarius, and you'll never have to deal with Pluto opposing you in your lifetime, unless you live for 240 more years. You'll never have to see this again, right? So utilize this time, realize that you are worth it. Realize that you can do those things that you want to do. Final card I have is the Two of Wands. You're kind of looking out, kind of contemplating things, if you will, wondering which road to take. And I think that's really what it is that Two of Swords, that troll is like, okay, answer this riddle. And it's it is kind of A and B. And I think the direction and the road that you take is going to be based off of whether or not you believe in yourself and whether or not you feel valuable. But I think for you, it's like you are determining your value based off of the way that people see you, the way that you are accepted by other people in these relationships, and maybe the status of those things too. It's like you're wanting the adoration from others instead of giving that to yourself. Or maybe you're trying to get adoration from the wrong people. That could be the other thing too. Cancer, it's like maybe that person's not coming back. They're not coming back. It's okay. We gotta let it go. That person's not coming back. It is what it is. And it's time to move on. So stop looking for acceptance and adoration in the wrong places and in the wrong people and the wrong relationships. That's what's fucking you up, and it's affecting your home life. So I have the card of the solar plexus. I fucking love this. It's so on point. The frequency of the solar plexus chakra, the yellow flower of life, supports our sense of self, our personal power, and our willpower, as well as our knowing of who we are and what our contribution is to the whole. I love that. Yeah, so don't rely so much on the external, what other people say, and what other people approve of, if you will. You have to learn how to embrace yourself fully and use that willpower to be like, hey, I'm here. Show up. I think Cancers are having a tough time showing up right now because you opened your heart right? You opened your heart. You tried to heal that person. You know, I feel like a lot of cancers, especially like, look, cancer is that one sign that will always try to save someone. It's like, oh, I can fix them. Cancer is, oh, I can fix them energy. You don't have to be Captain Save a Ho. Right, that's or to save a bro. Like you're trying to be Captain Save a Ho and Captain Save a Bro, and it's just like it's failed you more times than it has. You know, it's failed you more times than not. Trying to be that energy. So, I think for you, it's about establishing that sanctuary and being that sanctuary and allowing those people to come to you instead of you trying to go to someone or something that doesn't actually want you. And that's a tough pill to swallow. But it's like you're constantly trying to save and help and heal people that don't want it or they don't want it from you. But there is someone out there that does want you or does need you. And you have to be ready to be you have to be ready to step up to the plate when that person shows up. So, yep. I love that. The thing is about taking your power back. Cancer, you have to take your power back. Stop trying to mother literally everybody and everything. You don't have to do that. So here, I'll go ahead and change the text. All right, Leo. Schleo. No, Leo, I wasn't calling you. I wasn't calling you, Leo. He has the zoomies right now. He totally has the zoomies right now. Yeah, I don't know if y'all can hear him, but he is like running all over the place. All right. Leo, what do we have going on for you? Well, Leo, we have the Nine of Wands in reverse. Leo, it's time for you to drop your guard and stop feeling like you have to defend yourself from everyone and everything. So you're waiting for something to happen. It's time for you to drop your guard and to start living life more on purpose. I have the Strength card in reverse too. So I feel like Leos, you kind of feel like Samson, like you got your hair cut off and now you've lost your power. But I think you put too much power in that mane of yours, and that the true power wasn't in the mane. The true power was in your heart. Yours is actually pretty simple and clear cut, straight to the point. This has to do a lot with your perceptions, you know, and the way that you think about the thing, the way that you think about these sort of things. You know, this is the sun is going into your ruling planet is going to your third house Libra, and it's at fall there. So whenever the sun shifts into Libra, your ruling planet, it's in fall in the third house, which means that what you guys don't know about Leo is that, yeah, they seem confident and they have all this bravado, but they kind of have dark thoughts. And a lot of times they are incredibly hard on themselves, probably more than any other sign, right? Because I think they're constantly worried about how they're seen to other people. Libra's relationships, they're constantly worried about how they're seen, and if they will sometimes get in their head, you know, they can get very, very in their head about like how they're seen to other people, and that could come across, and a lot of times that comes across as narcissism. I'm not gonna lie, and that's why a lot of people think Leo's annoying because they come across as narcissists. But it's like, no, it's because like their ruling planet, when it's in the third house Libra and it's fallen, and that means that there's less light. That means that, yeah, things are getting darker and stuff, right? So Leo's very much so concerned about that. Leo does want people to love and appreciate them, of course. And it's not necessarily always from a place of vanity. It can be, but it's not always from a place of vanity, right? It's because they just want to shine and be that light. But I think right now for you, Leo, it's like, yeah, you do kind of feel like you took an arrow to your knee. Yeah, you do feel like your main's been kind of cut. Dang, Clemson is beating the crap out of NC State. Oh, it's the half. It's 45-7 at the half. Sorry, I got distracted. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like, Leo, you can have some pretty dark thoughts. All right? And that's the one thing that you guys don't see. Y'all see the bravado. Y'all see the Y'all see all the energy. Y'all see the roar. Y'all see the royalty. Y'all see all that energy. Y'all see the, you know, the riz, if you will. What y'all don't see, what y'all don't see is the thoughts, right? And also you have to consider the fact that, you know, Cancer is their 12th house. So a lot of times, a lot of the emotions behind things are the things that you guys do not see, you know. So yeah, Leo, the power wasn't in the main, the power was in your heart. And when you realize that the power was in your heart, you're going to start to feel a lot better and you'll be able to move forward. I have the Page of Cups. You have to learn how to connect to your emotions better. You have to almost become like a student of your emotions again. And actually, you know, learn that it's actually okay to feel. So maybe what you've been guarding yourself from is feeling. You've been guarding yourself from feeling more emotions. Because you want to just have fun and play. I get it. I get it. But you have to like kind of reconnect back to this part of yourself. So I have the card of Dynamic for you, Leo. The card of Dynamic. The frequency of dynamic supports our ability to harmonize between layers and aspects of different origin and frequency. It helps us to put together a reality that is made up of many different elements, both familiar and completely new, with ease, grace, and great joy. Yeah, Leo, I mean, you're probably going to feel a little bit better with Venus coming to Scorpio, even though it is for you, your 4th house and stuff like that. And Venus doesn't like to be in Scorpio, but I think that's going to add a little bit of excitement that you're kind of looking for, especially it's kind of the one thing that's weird about the fixed signs is that it's like I feel like all right. So here's the thing when it comes to like the signs, right? I feel like cardinal signs are all vying for attention, right? They all kind of want more. They all kind of want the attention. I feel like with fixed signs though, it's like we actually like it when a planet goes into a fixed sign, even if it's like squaring or opposing us, because we know that even if it may be a little bit difficult, that's going to spice things up and it's going to bring the energy. So Leo, it's like it's going to bring the excitement when Venus comes into your 4th house of Scorpio, right? So I think it's about realizing that your life is very dynamic, you know, that you don't necessarily, like I said, it wasn't the main that made you, that made you dynamic. It was your heart, it was those experiences, it was the love that you have to give, right? So it's like, yeah, I think this is about, you know, if you're not really feeling the energy, you have to be a Leo and be that light and go and do it. So like, just why are you waiting around? Why, like, go and do it? Go meet those people, go out and have fun and do that thing, be dynamic, try new experiences, you know, go skydiving, do something different, do something new. You're like, we don't have to wait for anybody, you know? And maybe you're worried about what someone else is gonna think if you do something new, but fuck it, do it anyways. You gotta go into fuck it mode, Leo. You really do. Because you put way too much emphasis on some part of your life, and you believe that that was like your pride and joy, your glory, and that thing is coming to an end, or it got cut off, or it transformed, and you put so much of your energy into that thing that the new thing that may seem boring or that may not seem like it's exciting is actually the exact excitement that you need for this moment. It's the exact thing that you need right now. So that's what I got for you guys. All right. Virgo. All right. Let me give this deck a nice shuffle. Oh. All right, Virgo. Let's see what we got going on for y'all. Oh, Virgo, I also had the Two of Cups for you. Oh, it's similar to Gemini. I like that. Virgo, Two of Cups. Well, yeah, connecting with someone on a more of an emotional, a deeper level, coming to some sort of understanding, compassion-wise. Let's see what else we have. I'm going to go in case those cards might be stuck together. Let's see what else we have. Ooh, I have the Ace of Pentacles upright. So this is nice. This actually, for you, Virgo, this can definitely bring some fresh energy to kind of help get you grounded in. Maybe some new money ventures. Maybe something that can make you start to feel more valuable, in your life. And I think, well, yeah, that solar eclipse is happening in your second house of Libra. So this honestly just could be a relationship or a connection that does bring some type of wealth, whether it's emotional, mental, spiritual wealth, maybe even physical wealth, or it could be maybe even a new idea, something that you can do. This is probably more so an existing idea that you already have that you're realizing that can actually bring you more sustainability, something that can kind of bring more structure and something that's a little bit more stable in your life, you know what I'm saying? So helping to kind of fortify the foundation. I feel like Virgos right now are trying to fortify their foundation in life, right? Next card that we have for you guys, oh my gosh, yes, it's the Ten of Pentacles. Yeah, Virgo, man, shoot, yeah, you are fortifying your foundations, especially in your relationships, right? So it's like, this is not being concerned about relationships that aren't super strong. This is about doubling down on the relationships that are strong and realizing realizing the worth there. I think there's a massive aspect of gratitude here. I think Virgos are at a place right now where it's like, they're just sort of like, and it's interesting too, because, when I think of Virgo energy, I do think of Generation X because they do have Pluto in Virgo, and I feel like those people is like, they've been through so much, right? They've been through so much, and they kind of want to just be left alone. They kind of want to just have their peace, and I kind of feel like Virgos in general, whether you're a Gen X or not, kind of want to just have their peace. And it's almost sort of like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, that thing happened. Okay, that thing happened. Well, yeah, I've been through this so many times before. So it's like you're kind of over a lot. Like, you're kind of over getting overly upset about things. You're kind of just taking things as they come. But it's like also appreciating those relationships and appreciating those connections that appreciate you. And you this month are wanting to double down on those things. Not concerning yourself about the relationships or the jobs or the situations that didn't turn out in your favor. It may suck, but it's like, for you, you're sort of like, you're kind of like shrugging, and you're like, all right, well, I have this person, I have that person, I have this thing going for me. That's what I'm going to focus on. I love that for you guys. I have the card of coherence for you, Virgo, the card of coherence. The frequency of coherence supports our ability to harmonize the frequency of the heart with the frequency of the mind for an optimal ability to create the reality that we desire. Yeah, I think you're looking for peace, when you can bring what's in your heart, the peace that you're looking for in your heart, and then kind of developing that new mindset. I think you're going to find yourself in a nice place, Virgo. I think this is actually going to be a pretty good month for you. I think it's interesting too, because like Virgo season, I'm not gonna lie, has kind of felt a bit boring, but you've kind of been thriving in it more so than any other sign. All the Virgos I know are just like chilling, and everyone else is freaking out. I was like, nothing's happening. Like, things are happening, but nothing's happening at the same time. And Virgos are like, this is peaceful. This is chill. I like this. So it's like, honestly, Virgo, keep doing you. I feel like you're kind of frustrating people with how calm you are about things. But keep that energy. We kind of need that right now. All right. Oh, misspelled. Libra. Let me take a swig of this first. All right. Libra. What do we have going on for you guys? What do we have going on for you? Libra, I have the Tower card in reverse. Hey, the Tower moment has already happened. You're just thinking about it a lot. The Tower moment has already happened. You're just thinking about it a lot. The Tower moment has happened. You're just thinking about it a lot. I had the Four of Cups. What are you waiting for? Why are you contemplating? Why are you being apathetic? Yeah, I feel like literally Libra, the Tower moment already happened. It already fell. It already crashed. Ego's already been bruised, as all of ours have. It's already happened, though. It's time for you to pick up the pieces finally and move forward, to stop contemplating on your next move and stop being apathetic and be like, oh, well, maybe, I don't know. It's like, it's not even like that bad right now, Libra, but it's just like, you're just sitting there just kind of waiting. It's like, bro, like, didn't that happen like months ago? Did that happen like years ago? Yeah, but I still think about it a lot and stuff, and I just don't know what to do. Meanwhile, life is just passing you by. Don't let life just pass you by, Libra. Okay? Don't do it. It happened. It's in the past. It's done. Move forward. Seven of Wands. I don't know what you're defending yourself from or what kind of position you have. I feel like, honestly, you're trying to defend, I guess, some current aspect of your reality and trying to defend just like, why can't I just still ruminate a little bit? Why can't I still just be lethargic a little bit longer? That's what you're defending. I feel like there's going to be someone that just comes to you, Libra. It's like, yo, Libra, wake up. What are you doing? You've been sitting under that tree for years now. Like, they ain't coming back. That was like 5 years ago when they hurt you. Yeah, it hurt. But it's time for you to finally move forward. Oh, I just want to sit here a little bit longer. All right, that's Libra. That's how you're gonna run people away. You're gonna scare people away because you want to sit in your sorrow. You want to sit in. That's actually in our complex. I wonder what happened. You want to just sit in your sorrow. You want to just sit in your apathy. You want to just sit in your lethargy over something that happened already. The Tower moment's in reverse. It happened already. It's gone. It's in the past. I understand that it can suck. I'm not trying to not be empathetic. I'm not trying to not be empathetic for you, Libra. I'm really not. But I'm going to be blunt here. Get over it. It's kind of harsh, but it's the truth. So I think it's interesting that you got the card of remembrance, though. The frequency of remembrance supports our memory of everything that we have gone through as a soul and body, providing us with valuable information and tools to flow gracefully in this life. I think that's the problem. I think you're remembering things, but you're not integrating what you've learned. You're just thinking about it. You're not integrating what you learned. You're not using those tools to expand and grow your life. You're not seeing it as valuable. You're just seeing it as it sucked and it hurts. And yeah, it does. It did suck. It did hurt. But it was a valuable situation. It was a valuable experience that you can integrate and you can move forward and you can do something different. You can act differently. You can have a different outcome. Maybe you're afraid to actually do something. Maybe you're afraid to actually put yourself out there again because someone or something that was really, really important to you hurt you. And I'm sorry that happened. But it has passed. A lot of time has passed, and it is time to move on. And hopefully with this new moon solar eclipse in your first house, it can get the ball rolling for you. So, dang, Libra, you have like the harshest one so far. Scorpio. My fellow Scorps. Oh, let me move that up a little bit. There we go. All right. Scorpio, Scorpio, Scorpio. What's going on, fellow Scorpios? What's going on? Ooh, a lot of cards coming out. Hold on. Hold up. Hold up. All right, Scorpio. Let's see what we got going on for you. Well, Scorpio, I have the Three of Pentacles in reverse. The Three of Pentacles in reverse. I think you're wanting to kind of get things moving and connect to the right people. I think, Scorpio, honestly, I think you're kind of feeling a little bit lonely. You're trying to find a good team. And maybe you only have a couple of people or so. But I feel like, Scorpio, you're wanting to actually build something, you know, and you're trying to find like your teammates, and maybe it's a little bit hard, or maybe you feel like you have the wrong teammates. Maybe you feel like you're on the wrong team right now, Scorpio, and it's like maybe you feel like you're just kind of tired of taking L after L after L. Let's see what that's the energy that you're kind of bringing in. We have that followed by the Six of Cups. I think the challenge is that you have nostalgia goggles on, Scorpio. You're too focused on the past. It's kind of similar to Libra, but in a different way. Because you're wanting to kind of move things forward. You're not solely just ruminating and just worrying about someone that hurt you, but you're so focused on the good times of the past that you can't even really detect, that there could be some awesome people around you that can really help you create the vision, or maybe that you feel like you have to do it all by yourself. But yeah, the Six of Cups being that challenge card, it's like, I think it's good to, want to go into the childhood and go into the memories and whatever like that. But I feel like Scorpios have nostalgia goggles on and they just refuse to take it off because it's just so much easier to be in that energy and to be like, just think of the good times. So it's like, whereas Libra's thinking about the bad shit, Scorpio, you're kind of doing the opposite. You're thinking about all the good stuff that you really loved, but that world is still over. Like you can still bring aspects of it into the new world, but you're not going to be able to, you're not going to live in that childhood house again unless you buy it, but you're not going to live in that childhood house again. You're not going to, you played that last game of kickball, with your friends, whatever like that. Some of your friends have grown up and moved on and stuff. And I think, Scorpio, you're kind of just like, now what? And as I said, you're thinking too much about the good old days that you can't even see that today can be good as well. Right? So I have the Ten of Wands. Yeah, you're carrying some loads and it's time for you to kind of drop it. I think and with it being in reverse, this also can be you also being afraid of the hard work. You being afraid of like kind of picking up the pieces and like I said, this is more so about building. I don't think you're like picking up pieces like Libra is, where it's like a tower moment. I think for you, Scorpio, it's like you do have big visions and you do want to create something big, but you're so focused on like the past. You're so focused on the good times, and it's almost like you don't necessarily want to do the hard work and build something. I think that's the fear here, but there's something that's like it's also going to come to like connecting with people. That's what the Three of Pentacles is about: connecting with other people. It's about building something together, not just soloing it. I feel like, Scorpio, like you kind of want to solo things right now, but you can't solo things. So you actually have to get out there and actually talk to people and connect to people and shit, and not be so focused on the good times. Like, yeah, the good times are great to think about the past, and think about the memories and nostalgia. But you don't want to just get so caught up in that where you just forget about the now. Oh, I grabbed 2 cards. That was an accident. But I have 2 cards. Maybe there's a reason why I grabbed 2 cards. I have the Heart Chakra in Emergence. Wow. What's happening here? I feel like your heart is opening up. I don't even have to read those. Because when I think of emergence, I think of a flower that is emerging and it's showing its colors. And the heart chakra is that green flower of life. So I feel like what's actually happening, Scorpio, is that your cold heart is actually trying to open up. You're not going to be as icy anymore, even though this is fall time. It's interesting. The sun's going into your 12th house. So this does have to do with this solar eclipse for you, being that it's 12th house. It's very hidden. It's very spiritual. And with your relationships too, so there's a lot of faded things that's going to happen in relationships, but it's very, very hidden. It's very, very etheric. It's very, very like unseen. So it's like for you, Scorpio, I feel like your heart's actually opening up a little bit, and you're kind of like emerge from this fresh and renewed. And I think it's like, yeah, maybe you have been focused on the past. Maybe you have been focused on maybe past dreams or past relationships or just childhood memories and worrying about all that sort of stuff. And it's like, it's almost like you kind of don't want to grow up in a sense, Scorpio, but it's time for you to grow up. And also realizing that, you can still, it's about making new memories. Scorpio, I think the reason why you have such nostalgia goggles on is because you haven't been creating new memories, you know? And we have memories like every single day, but it's like those new memories that really stick out to you. I think that's what you're wanting. You're wanting to create those new memories that stick out to you. From me, I'm a Scorpio. For me, it was the uh, uh, going to this concert with my dad recently, and it was. I'm getting chills just thinking about it because like that memory is going to stick out for the rest of my life because that concert was freaking amazing, and for me to be able to share that with my dad was just the best thing ever. So it's like you're wanting to create more of those. So I think Scorpio, that's what it's about. Create more memories that you can look back on in 20 years. You're looking back right now on those memories that you have from 15, 20 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. It's time for you to create new memories that you can look back on fondly. So, alrighty then. You know who is up next? It's the Sagittariuses. Sagittarius, you are up. Let's see what we have going on for y'all. Sagittarius. Ooh, that was not a good shuffle. That did not work out very well. All right, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Sagittarius. What do we have going on for y'all? Sagittarius, I have the Six of Pentacles upright. Six of Pentacles upright. Kind of an interesting card. It's like it does speak to kind of giving and having compassion and, I guess charity is involved with this energy as well, which kind of does make sense though. I mean, this new moon solar eclipse for you that's coming up, this sun going into Libra. Libra is for you your 11th house, so that does deal with large groups of people and how to connect to those people as well. So, I feel like for you, yeah, this is about trying to find, and I think it's interesting because he's holding like that scale. He's actually holding the scale, which is Libra, right? So this is about you finding the balance and finding, who and what to give your energy to. So I think that's what it all comes down to. Is like, it also could be about investing. Are you investing energy into people and places that you're not going to get a return on? Or is it just going to be like blah? And it's not so much that you're always looking for something in return, because that return doesn't necessarily have to be monetary, but is the return going to be something that, fills you up, that gives you a sense of fulfillment or purpose? That's really what it comes down to. So are you investing into a job or a relationship that you feel fulfilled in and you feel that there's purpose there? If so, cool. If not, maybe we need to reconsider. We do have the Emperor card here for the challenge. I think the challenge here is the one to just kind of strong arm things and to kind of just go like, I was going to say bullheaded, but in this case ram headed. And it's like, I think the challenge here, Sag, is that you want to kind of almost like ram your way into things right now. You kind of want to just be like, this is what it is, this is what it's got to be, and bam, I'm going to do it, whatever. And I think, Sag, you kind of have to like cool the jets a little bit. There's a level of patience that needs to be had here, because you want to kind of just really move the needle. You want to just move it. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Mars here, it's in your 8th house, right? So it's, Mars in the 8th. I mean, I'm a Sag rising, so I'm actually getting this energy. Mars in the 8th, it likes to be in the 8th house because the natural 8th house is Scorpio, but it's Cancer, right? So it's like, Sag, like emotionally, you're kind of hot and cold right now. You can go from being just like, and I've experienced this, like this week alone, I experienced this where my energy will go from like, to like just, and like you can even hear it in my voice. where I just go from like these highs to like these lows, and I feel like that's where Sag is. It's like you have these great highs and you have these lows, and it's like it's about what you're paying attention to. It's about where you are investing your energy, where you are investing the currency of your emotions, of your thoughts, of your passion. You know, that's really what it comes down to, right? Um, I do have the Four of Swords in reverse, so I think this is interesting. It's like this is not necessarily a time for you to kind of rest and wait, but I think you also have to make sure that you're investing into the right energies and into the right places. You know, so it's like you gotta definitely move. You gotta take some action here, but also just be wary of who and what you just give your energy and attention to, because that's going to determine your environment. That's going to determine, like I said, your vibe attracts your tribe. You know, um, that's going to determine like the people that you're around and everything like that too. Um, so yeah, there's this moment. It's like yeah, we kind of you kind of want to rest a little bit with, but Mars. That's the thing about Mars and Cancer. Kind of wants to rest. It kind of wants to be. It wants to. I don't want to act unless I feel like 100% comfortable. But for you, it's Scorpio, so for you it's eighth house, so it's a little bit deeper, and it does deal with shared resources and stuff like that. It does deal with the shared energy. It does deal with intimacy as well. So it's like don't be afraid to live a more intimate life with yourself, with other people. And intimacy doesn't equate to sex, although it can be sex, especially with your Mars being in your eighth house in Cancer, right? So there's that aspect. Some of you guys actually might get pregnant, or might actually, you know, you know, well, if you're female, you might get pregnant, right? If you're male, you might get someone pregnant. That could definitely be possible and stuff too here. But you know, just it's about where you're investing your energy into, and where you're putting that. So, I do have the card of realization for you, Sag. The frequency of realization supports the internal process of becoming aware of our heart-centered truth, as well as the external process of becoming our highest expression in this world. Yeah, there's definitely going to be some realizations especially as far as like where you are amongst the populace, because since this sun is moving into your 11th, and the new moon solar eclipse will be in your 11th, and the 11th does deal with the masses of people, and it's the sun, and it's the way that we identify. It's like, yeah, you're kind of realizing your place in the world. And I think it's about, you know, whether you can accept that or whether you feel like you have to change it or do something different. But, you know, so long as you are going by your heart centered truth, there's no need to worry about your position or place in the world, because you're just going to live from your heart centered truth, and it is what it is, and you're going to be where you need to be and go to where you need to go and connect with who you need to connect with. But if you're so worried about what other people think of you, and so worried about the perception of that people have on you, that's when you kind of fall into that route where you are putting your energy into places that you don't need to be putting them into: people, situations, jobs, relationships. It's about, you know, start with you first, and then you'll find the fun and the excitement around you. It'll kind of just start to kind of pop into place, you know. So that's what I have for you guys. Now we have Capricorn. Capricorn. Let's see what we got going on for y'all. One more decent shuffle. All right, Capricorn, let's see what we got going on for y'all. Capricorn, I have the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords. I do like this for you. I mean, this is your 10th house we're talking about. All this Libra energy, right? The sun going there, the new moon solar eclipse is coming, even Mercury that's coming there. This is your 10th house. So this could be a new idea on how to, you know, reach those highs and those successes in your life. You know, maybe a new thought, maybe a new way to perceive your reality. So I do like this for you, Capricorn. I do have the Six of Pentacles in reverse, though. I think Pluto, of course, being back in your sign too for the last time in your life, unless you live for another 240 years. The Six of Pentacles in reverse is saying that, man, you probably have made some bad financial decisions. You probably made some bad investments. You probably have given to people that constantly just ask and ask and ask and don't actually like. It's like somebody probably owes you money because you've given them so much. It's probably best to just kind of cut it off, honestly. It's like they're probably not going to give you the money back. But I kind of feel like that's where Capricorn is right now. I feel like Capricorns feel like the world, like people in the world owes them stuff because they've done so much. Man, truthfully, the world doesn't technically owe you anything, but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, Capricorn, yeah, you have given a lot. You have done a lot. You have been a rock for a lot of people too. You've taken on so much energy and just absorbed it, especially with Pluto being in your sign. You've had to absorb so much energy and transmute it, and you're realizing that yeah, you've made some bad investments. Yeah, you've given away a little bit more than you probably should have. And I think that's the challenge, is realizing that and realizing that hey, it's okay. We just learn and we move forward. I think it's like, now if you keep doing it, especially if it's like the same fucking person that keeps asking money for you and they're not going to pay you back, it's like you gotta kind of cut them off with that sword. It's like, nah, I love you, fam. Like I have love for you and I wish you the best, but I can't keep saving you. I can't keep doing that. And I feel like that's where Capricorn is. Like, you need to stop trying to save people. Similar to Cancer, being Captain Save-A-Ho, it's just coming from a little bit of a different area, right? So I do have the Ten of Pentacles in reverse too. So yeah, Capricorn, you have been busy trying to save so many people and save other and give, and it's just they're not learning the lesson. They're not trying to do something to lift themselves up and make themselves better. They're just taking advantage of your kindness. I'm not even gonna lie. They're taking advantage of your kindness. They're taking advantage of, it's like, well, Capricorn will do the work, so I don't have to do the work because Capricorn can just give me stuff. And it's like, you're not really about that anymore. That's the thing about it. It's like, Capricorn, you kind of have to stop that. You can't just be like, all right, look, I worked hard for this shit, and now you're just trying to just mooch off and take advantage of me and shit. And I don't mind giving it to you because it's not that big of a deal, but it's like, I need to stop doing that. Now, whether that is from a money aspect or just being that emotional rock for someone, or mental rock or spiritual, whatever like that, it's like, you've been giving so much that now it's starting to actually take away from your sense of self-worth and sense of value, because you're not actually standing in your truth. You're not actually being in, I guess, your real true value. It's not just because you have the ability to take care of all these people or to take care of all these things or to pay all these people or whatever like that from a financial standpoint or from a success standpoint. Just because you can do that doesn't necessarily mean that doesn't necessarily equate to your success or your status or this whole idea that you've made it and whatever like that. The conversion isn't not one-to-one. I'm getting the image of like, yeah, like, and I don't know what Nick Cannon's sign is, but this is sort of like, yeah, he may be able to financially take care of multiple baby mamas and stuff like that, but is it actually really like giving back to him? It may be, but is investing in those situations and those people and then having all these kids from different baby mamas, is that actually really doing something for him? He may be able to financially take care of them, but what about the emotional connection, the mental connection, the spiritual connection? What about all that sort of stuff? He's probably missing out on it. So I don't know. I'm not him. I'm not in his circle of friends or whatever like that. But that's just an example of someone that can take care of a lot of people, but the energy is not really giving back as much as it probably could or as much as he's letting on, right? So that's what I have for you guys, Capricorn. I do have the card of Tantric Journey, though, which is kind of interesting. So
The frequency of tantric journey helps us to unlock the hidden knowledge and wisdom that we intrinsically hold about how to reach a state of wholeness and completion through our sensual experiences with ourselves and with another. So maybe this is coming down to relationships. Maybe this is about trying to find that more intimate connection. And like I said, I don't know what Nick Cannon's sign is, but yeah, maybe he should just commit to one chick and, find the value and, shoot, instead of having all these kids from like multiple partners, maybe you have 10 kids with one partner. Maybe that would, bring more fulfillment and being able to support that. Like I said, I don't know though. I don't know the guy. I'm not him, but I'm just using that as an example. So, Capricorn, stop giving energy to places that aren't going to get back to you. And I know it sounds kind of selfish and stuff like that, but it's getting to the point where now it's starting to become a leech. So, and it's all through your own doing because you've allowed it to happen. It's all through your own doing because you felt so good that you could be able to support that, but it's getting to the point where now it's starting to take away from you and not really give. So it's okay. You can drop the act. You don't have to try and prove yourself to anybody. I think that's the problem. Is like Capricorn, you're so busy trying to prove yourself to everybody that you're forgetting what's really important. So, Aquarius. Aquarius. All right. Aquarius, what we got going on for you? Ooh, Aquarius. I have the Hermit card in reverse. Aquarius, it's time for you to connect with people. You can't just go into your den. You can't just run away from people. I know, Aquarius, I know you don't like people. I know. I know it's like, why do I have to deal with people? Well, it's time for you to deal with people. It's time for you to actually be that light for people. I think that's the thing about it. It's like, it's time for you to actually come out and be that light. And, this is, for you, this is what, your ninth house, Aquarius. So, it's like, you got to believe in yourself again. You got to believe that you can be that light. I know, like, you find people annoying and shit like that, Aquarius, because it's like, you guys are the aliens, whatever like that. And you guys are fascinated by humans, but you guys don't really like humans like that. So it's like, but you got to be that light for people. You got to show people the error of their ways, right? So it's like, it's about bringing that higher cosmic knowledge in. And you're wanting to do that, but Pluto went back into your 12th house. And it's like, dang, now you have to deal with that. It's like you've kind of gotten a taste of what it's like to have Pluto in your sign. It happened twice. And now it will come back into your sign for 20 years. So it's like, utilize this time with Pluto in your 12th to transform and clear up whatever residual funk and gunk you have in the 12th house junk. You know what I'm saying? Like, or the 12th house trunk. Like, that's what it is. It's the trunk, and it's like clearing up all of that stuff so you can actually be the awesome Aquarius that we know that you can be and that no one has really actually seen yet. We haven't really seen Aquarius really be Aquarius yet. Not really, right? I have the Sun card. Be the light, be the sun. Be that person that invigorates those around you. And I think part of it is that Aquarius, I feel like you do that, but I feel like you get annoyed with people fast. Because you can be that light, but I feel like you can get annoyed with people very, very fast. And it's sort of like, look, you are smarter than most of us, okay? I'm just going to be straight up, and that might stroke your ego a little bit, but Aquarius, you are kind of smarter than most of us, right? Not everyone really gets it. The energy that you bring, the higher cosmic knowledge. Not everyone gets it, right? Not everyone gets it. It's advanced, it's different, it's unique. But, you got to learn how to have fun with it and to kind of find a sense of play again. I feel like that's what it comes down to. It's like, you have this hermit card where it's this old man who's just walking around with this lamp. He wants to go into his den and just meditate all the time. It's like, no, the universe wants you to do the opposite. It wants you to be, fun and exciting and invigorated and bright and shining. And it's like you're sort of like, I don't know if I really want to do that. But the universe is saying that, nah, Aquarius, we actually need you to do that so we can usher in this new age of Aquarius. We actually need you to Aquarius right now, right? I have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So it's interesting too here. This Knight, the Knight does speak to action. With its being reversed, it does kind of feel like a slowdown, but I think the overall outcome is, probably just more so realizing what is truly valuable, what's truly worth it. I don't think it's like a bad thing here. I think there's an element where universe is wanting you to kind of come out of your shell a bit, but I think it's also about realizing what truly is important to you and then fighting for that. And I think you have to honestly express that more instead of keeping it to yourself. Kind of express it more. It's like, this is what I'm fighting for. This is the change I want to see. You kind of have to be the humanitarian, but it's like you're kind of being a closet humanitarian. You're kind of being like a closet, trendsetter. Like, you're trying to trend set. You're trying to change the world from the comfort of your own den instead of actually going out there and doing it. Because you have something to stand for, but it's like you don't want to go out there and actually do it and put it out there and broadcast it. Aquarius, you kind of have to broadcast it right now. And maybe that has a lot to do with your ruling planet being at the end of Taurus. Maybe it's a little bit harder for you to broadcast it, but rest assured, once Uranus goes into Gemini in your 5th house, you're going to pretty much have no choice but to broadcast it. So you might as well go ahead and get a jump on it. I have the card of consciousness for you, Aquarius, the card of consciousness. The frequency of consciousness supports our ability to focus our attention on all the multidimensional aspects that show up so that we can include them in our reality. This is about becoming aware of the unseen and the unknown. I think a lot of this is going to have to do with Pluto going back into Capricorn, your 12th house. You're becoming more aware of those intricacies and those sensitivities and stuff like that, and bringing it more into your consciousness. So it's about bringing those things in the subconscious up to the front and actually bring it into your consciousness. It's time to stop contemplating in the den and start actually bringing things out into the light and showing people who you really are. And not being afraid to hide those things. I think subconsciously you have been suppressing who you really are. Maybe because you're trying to keep the peace. Maybe because you want to be liked. Maybe because you don't want to even be bothered. Maybe because Aquariuses are weird. Like, Aquariuses have a social battery, but it's so freaking random. It'll go from like 100 to 0 to 70 to 50 to 80 to 30 to like 1,000. It's so weird. Like, it jumps, right? But, and a lot of times it'll be like Aquarius will kind of feed off the people around them, too. So but honestly, if the vibe's not there, Aquarius has no problem dipping out. Aquarius, you need to be the one to set the vibe. Stop waiting for other people to do it. Stop waiting for Leo to do it. Aquarius, it's time for you to set the vibe. And I think that's the thing about it. Aquarius has no problem taking a back seat and not setting the vibe. I'm sorry, Aquarius. We're going into the age of Aquarius. So it's time for Aquarius to set the vibe. All right. And last but not least, we have Pisces. Let me shuffle these back in. Pisces, the magicians of the zodiac, the Magi's, if you will, the mermaids. It's another one. Everyone's going to look for mermaids in the ocean when they're swimming around us right now. They're not just in the ocean. They're extra-dimensional beings that will swim around us. You don't have to be near the ocean. You don't have to be in the ocean. Just saying. I'm revealing y'all secrets. Pisces. Pisces, I have the Hierophant in reverse. You have to be your own spiritual guidance counselor. Don't outsource it to someone else. You have to be it for yourself. Pretty simple, right? So I think it's like you're coming into this, like maybe you're trying to take counsel from other people, or maybe you are seeing that someone else has a higher authority on certain things. When Pisces, you're the 12th sign of the zodiac. You're the last sign. You already can tap into the multi-dimensional facets of who you are and stuff like that, and all the different layers of this reality. You don't need a Hierophant. You pretty much are the Hierophant, right? Which is why sometimes y'all can be a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I have the Nine of Pentacles. Yeah, this is about knowing your worth and knowing your value. I love this. I love that this card comes up here. You know, knowing your worth, knowing your value, knowing that you don't necessarily need anyone or anything, but I think it's about wanting it or choosing it. I think that's something about what Pisces. It's like, you know, sometimes Pisces will run away from relationships and stuff like that, and they'll just kind of ghost and just kind of go through the escapism part. But it's like, no, yeah, there's a power in choice here, Pisces. It's like, yeah, I know that you can do things alone. I get that. Pisces love to be alone. They love to just be introverted and just be into their hobbies and do their own thing, and they love to do that. But wouldn't you want to share that with somebody too? I think that's kind of the important thing here, is that like you can actually share it with somebody, believe it or not, Pisces. Oh, how nice would that be? Especially considering the fact that this sun, you know, is going into your 8th house. This new moon solar eclipse is going to be happening in your 8th house, which does deal in many ways with, you know, I mean, deals with the relationships, but deals with like the more intimate relationships in your life. The relationships, the shared resources, the people that you share things with, the people that you share your home with. This is going to deal with more with those sort of things. The things that you can't just readily escape from. So I think it's about sharing in the wealth and sharing in that with other people. You know. I also have the Knight of Pentacles upright. Yeah, I mean, knowing what to fight for and knowing what's truly worth and what's truly valuable. So like I said, for you Pisces, it's like you run away from relationships because sometimes, I mean, because you feel so much, you run away from relationships so you don't have to feel as much. But it's like you have to learn in the power of feeling. You have to learn in the power of feeling the more depth and the more intimate aspects of this reality, instead of just wanting to escape and kind of just do whatever. It's like, yeah, we get it, Pisces. You can be by yourself. You don't need anybody. But there's more power in choosing someone, especially if that someone's values do align with your own, and y'all can build something and create something together. That's how you go from the Knight of Pentacles to the Ten of Pentacles. That's how you upgrade it. It's great that you can survive on your own. Now it's time for you to build something with another. Now it's time for you to really hone in on that. Now it's time for you to appreciate that. Now it's time for you to go further than you've ever gone before, Pisces. I had the card of delight. I love that. Card of delight. The frequency of delight supports our capacity to create and experience feelings of intense joy and happiness. The more delight we feel, the more delight we invoke in others. That's really what it comes down to. It's like, yeah, you want to invoke that into other people. And then, like I said, yeah, you don't just be all to yourself. Don't just be recluse. Don't just like hide away in your den or your office and watch your favorite TV shows and play your video games or do your little hobbies or read your favorite books and just escape into the whole fantasy world. That's all nice, fun, and dandy, but shoot, create that with somebody. Bring someone else into that world. Maybe you're afraid to bring someone into that world, but I feel like the universe is going to bring someone into that world for you, whether you like it or not. So that's where it kind of comes down to. So, and I'll draw like one more card for everybody too. I'll just cut the deck in half and draw one more card for everyone. I have the Fool card. Now it is in reverse. So I'll read it both ways. We got a take life by the horns and live passionately, but we also have to take into consideration our experiences, what we learned, and we don't necessarily want to walk off a cliff that we've already walked off of. You know, it's sort of like, you know, shame me once, like, you know, fool me once, you know, was it fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. That's kind of where we're at. So it's like we're at the point where it's like fool me like 10, 11, 28 times. That's the thing about it. It's like, how many times you're going to fool yourself? You know, how many times you're going to fool yourself? You know, I have the card of passion, though. I do have the card of passion. So the frequency of passion reminds us that beneath every intense emotion lies the hidden gem of insight, balance, and calm. It assists us in finding the balance within this intensity, moving us from chaos to the calm of its core, where we can let its long-lasting wisdom fill us up. Yeah, it's about taking that power, harnessing it, focusing it, and doing something badass with it. So, you know, don't be the fool that walks off the same cliff 8,000 times. You know, if you walk off once, it happens. Even if you walk off a couple of the times, I get it. We all do it. We all have walked off a cliff, like a same cliff, whether it's a relationship or a situation or whatever like that, an addiction or whatever. We've all walked off of that same cliff multiple times, right? Just how many more times do you think you can walk off that cliff and it's like you don't want to go insane. And I think that's what's happening. People are going insane because they keep walking off the same cliffs and it keeps leading to the same result. And they're insane because they think that it can change. Well, it's not. But there's other more beautiful, amazing things that are there for you to harness and to experience and to revel in. And we have to go towards those things with courage, with passion, with bravery, and we'll thank ourselves, we'll thank God, we'll have much more gratitude because we'll be like, wow, I should have went for this before. Everything in due timing, everything in divine timing. But I think it's about trusting the process and realizing that, hey, some new amazing things are around the corner. We do have to kind of go through it a bit, but they are there and we don't have to be afraid of it. We need to embrace it. But that's going to do it for this weekend forecast cosmic convergence style. I didn't really go much into Monday and Tuesday's astrology, but I trust that this message will assist you on your journey today, this weekend, and you know, happy equinoxes, whether it's the autumnal equinox if you're in the northern hemisphere, if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's the vernal equinox, so you're going into your spring down there. But you know, had a lot of fun with this one, and looks like I trust that these messages will assist you on your journey, whether you're watching for your sun, moon, rising, Venus, Mars, whether you're watching for yourself, your friends, your family, you're just trying to, you know, get a little bit more insight into what's going on and stuff like that. If you connect with this, definitely love that, appreciate it. If it doesn't resonate, hey, it is what it is. There's a lot of astrologers and tarot readers out here, but I thank you for watching me. So, y'all take care, stay blessed, have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all on the next video. Peace.